In today's video, we will check: how do fish breathe? Can fish breathe without an air pump? What are air pumps, their importance, and how do we use them in aquarium tanks? Why do we plug the air pump to the sponge filter? Review some of the best air pumps that are currently available in the market. And what to do in case of power outage and how to provide the fish with the needed air. Fish has gills, which is the fish organ that converts the dissolved oxygen in the water to a breathable oxygen that it needs for its survival. So without the dissolved oxygen, the fish will suffocate and die. Accordingly, we need to make sure that the tank water has enough amount of dissolved oxygen for the survival of the fish, which depends mainly on how many fish in the tank, the surface area of the water surface. The greater surface area, the more surface agitation or hence gas exchange with the surrounding air. And of course, the volume of the water in the tank, and this is not the total volume of the tank, because the tank might contain decorations, wood and rocks, hardscape plus gravel, and all of these consume part of the tank volume. If you have a planted tank and you dose CO2 into the tank, then take care that the CO2 levels don't become high, which will cause problems to the fish. In this case, you must make sure that you have enough air or oxygen in the tank water. Having said that, just note that there are some fish species that breathe directly from the air on top of the water surface, like the famous Gouramis fish, which has a labyrinth organ that acts sort of like a lung, which allows them to breathe air at the surface. So, if your tank contains such fish species, then you don't really need to use an air pump, but it is safe to say that having an air pump, even with these fish species, won't harm. Plus, you probably keep more than one fish species, so if one species doesn't need the dissolved air, then the others will need it for sure. Accordingly, here comes the air pumps. They are devices that are powered through electricity, and are equipped with an electrical mechanical mechanism that will provide the needed air to the tank. So the air pump doesn't provide oxygen, it provides all the gases found in the surrounding air to the tank, which includes both oxygen, carbon dioxide, plus other gases. So if a harmful gas is sprayed beside the tank, or in the same room, you need to make sure to shut down your air pump, as it will probably inject some of this harmful gas into the tank water. Air pumps, and in order to function correctly, will have to be equipped with a check valve, an air tube, or a hose, and an air stone. The check valve will make sure that in case of power outage, water won't come out of the tank through the tube and cause damage to the pump. The air tube is the tube that will transfer the air from your pump into the tank water. And finally, the air stone, which is not a real stone, breaks down the air bubbles into very fine bubbles for better disperse of the air into the tank. The air stone is actually optional, and if you put the air tube directly into the tank water, then this is completely fine, and air will be able to be injected to the water. Air stones have several shapes and types, and there are even some small plastic toys that you can use in the tank instead of the air stones. In case you are using a sponge filter that needs an air pump to be connected to it anyway, then you don't have to use a second air pump or a second air stone. The air passing from the air pump to the sponge filter and then out of the sponge filter is completely okay. In case you have more than one tank, you can use a single air pump and use it to supply all the tanks with the needed air. Just use an air pump with more than one outlet, or even one outlet, and use a set of valves like the picture. Also, in case you have a lot of tanks, or a fish farm, then there are big air pumps that can supply air to 50 plus tanks at once. For me, I prefer to have more than one air pump available. In case one of them breaks, then I would have a backup solution until I fix the broken one, or even buy a new one. So, how to handle the power outage? Fish will usually don't suffocate because of lack of air for a few hours or even for a few days. Just remember that when we import fish, they come in plastic bags, where the shipping usually takes from 2 to 5 days, and in some cases even more. But to be in the safe side, there are 3 main methods which I tried before. The first would be using a nano USB air pump like the picture, which is powered through a USB port, and accordingly can be powered from an external power bank in case of power outage, or while traveling. The second would be using an air pump that uses batteries instead of the electricity, like the one in the picture. This one can be used as well in case of power outage, or in case of traveling. And the third one would be using a plastic bottle, and make a hole at the bottom of the bottle, suspend it on top of the tank, and leave it to drip water into the tank water, which should be enough in case the power outage is for a few hours. And of course you can just steer the water surface with your hand every now and then, which should be enough for the surrounding air to get mixed with the tank water. There are several good air pumps out in the market. For example, if you are buying from Amazon, there are many air pumps with good reviews, like the Tetra air pumps, and for the big ones, check the Vivosun air pump. While choosing the air pump, just make sure that it is silent and doesn't cause a lot of noise, as some of the air pumps might be doing an irritating vibration noise. Until the next video, please check these videos that you will find interesting, and don't forget to like, subscribe and ring the small bell for the notifications, and leave us a comment with your opinion. and what else to cover in coming videos.